Hey y'all, hey, I am Leslie of Blessing Creations in my workroom. Hooty hoo, hot mess going on around here. So today I am working on a train for a gown, and it's taking me, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it has taken me all day to kind of think of the best way to kind of get everything done. I realized one thing, I don't like working with Tulle, or at least, I'm not gonna say that. It's not that I don't like working with Tulle. I think it's the amount of Tulle that I have to work with, and also the quality of the Tulle. So because there was some modifications and changes that we did to this gown, I had to actually purchase the Tulle from one of the stores in my town. And when you purchase something kind of last minute to fix your project, it doesn't give you time to kind of play with it first to see how it's going to work. And so when I bought it, in fact, I ended up with 3 different qualities of Tulle. And you would be thinking like all Tulle is the same. No, it is not. One, if the Tulle says anything that says crafty, don't pick it up if you are planning to do something that you need to have body, because it's very flimsy even before you get to going with it. It's too flimsy. There is another way that is probably like the in-between way, and that's great for tutus and stuff like that, and it won't necessarily fly away. And then we have the bridal kind. The bridal is much stiffer. It costs you a little bit more, but you're getting a better quality, and you don't have to work. Now, granted, it is according to the name brand. Name brands can make a difference. So anyway, so I am currently applying I don't have a piece. It's all, I've already started putting it on here. I'm applying actually some sequence lace. In essence, the sequence was bought on a roll. It was a yardage of fabric, and I actually cut around the different pieces so that I can apply it to this train, because I wanted certain parts in certain places, and in order to get that, I had to cut it apart. And that's how you kind of got to do it anyway. Now, I already applied a couple of them, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing in a second. I've already applied a couple of them, and for whatever in the process. Now, I didn't have no problem putting down the first one, but for some reason, when I worked on the second one, the needle broke. So I had to go to a higher gauge needle and apply it. I am not applying all the corners, but I am kind of skirting around, and I'm going to tell you some things as I'm going, so you can kind of, if you have an industrial, it'll work better. If you're doing this on a domestic sewing machine, you may have a lot of problems, and that's the reason why I actually didn't want to work with sequence. It's because before I only did it on my domestic machine, and working on my domestic machine, ran into a lot of problems where I broke several needles. Even when I increased the gauge of the needle, I still had several needles. So I'm going to direct the camera down so you can kind of see my work area. And if you have any questions about anything that I'm showing here, you can drop your comments below. I'll be glad to talk. If you like what I talk about, please come back. A lot of times it's going to be different things that I've gone through. Yes, I've sewn several years, but I'm still learning. As I apply the things that I learned, I applied and I teach you. So you'll get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So keep on watching, keep on looking. Here we go. Okay, it's a little extra white. Bright light. Okay. One thing is, let me turn this other light on. Give you a little bit extra light. Okay, it is white fabric. White tulle I'm working with. So you're not going to really see the tulle. But as you can see, this is a panel. This is a panel that I had cut out. I actually did all the trimming around it. I didn't want to leave too much mesh all the way around it because I don't want it to be as visible. So when you look at it, you just kind of see some of it, but it won't be as distracting. So I'm very strategic as to where I left the mesh that it was embroidered on. As I have been sewing, I did realize that when I go backwards, at any point it causes it to bunch. So you have to do a lot of turning unless you don't plan to go to all the points. So I'll actually kind of jump over to the next area without going back and forth, because I did the thread that I have in my sewing machine is actually a nylon. I wasn't for sure if I was going to be able to get it thread a bobbin with nylon, but I was able to. It took me a minute to get it done, but I got it done. So of course I have nylon in my bobbin. It does unwind somewhat when you get started, so definitely take your time. It may not work in all machines. Don't assume that it will work in yours. I have a Juki DDL87. This is new to me. I've had her just over a month. Still getting used to it. It does make, especially when I do big projects or do difficult projects, it makes things easier. So all I'm doing is actually sewing kind of around it. Now I had these spots here that kind of lift up. I'm not concerned about it like having it completely flat. I just want to make sure it's not coming off. So it's okay to look a little flyaway. Like I said, I'm not back stitching because every time I've back stitched, it does a bunching thing. So you just kind of got to maneuver and turn your fabric around. And I'm making sure that my needle is down inside inside the fabric before I actually do the pivoting. It makes life a little bit easier. I suggest you don't go over needles. Some people I've seen online and they'll sew straight over needles. That is something I was taught as a young girl. No matter what machine you have, you should not go over needles, because if the placement of where your pen is in the wrong position when that needle comes down, it can actually hit that needle and literally break and pop back up in your face, and you don't want that. So I have a total of, I think, 5 of these to put on. I've actually done, this is my 3rd one I'm working on. It is a little awkward to kind of move stuff around, but it's better to move it around and get it right. and by me using a heavier needle, the sequences on here is kind of thick in certain places, not every place, but in certain places. So because it's there, it makes it easier to go through the sequence versus worrying about trying to make it go in the holes of the sequence, because it actually has it's like they did it in layers, or really textured. Excuse me. Dry. Now I will admit, using the knee press is a learning curve, and I say that because I am still getting used to having the knee lift. You can turn at your discretion, but make sure it is down. I'll show you how it's finished. Because your main goal is you're just basically securing it, but you don't want it to look like you didn't take the time. In any of the places that I didn't necessarily go down and secure like really tightly, I can always take and do a hand stitch. This is just keeping me from having to do this all by hand, which I've done before. But this is such a time saver. I'm going to leave that as is. I'm not going to worry about that kind of hanging. It's really kind of weirdish. And make sure you straighten stuff up. Lay it flat as much as possible. Trying to figure out where I started it so I can kind of end at the same spot. You can use a anvil or something to help you keep these from coming up. I'm just using some scissors real quick. And we're starting to get to the point where I don't want to move so much. And keeps your fingers out your way. I do have a guard on mine, but it still can happen to anybody, because this machine is very fast. I got lucky. Almost there. Now I do lock the stitches on when I get done, because I don't want the thread to come out. It's more likely to come out with this nylon, because nylon is more of I say it's a wire. It feels wiry. It's not a wire, but you know what I mean? Hey, you understand, don't you? Okay, so I have, like I said, like 5 more of these to get completed. So this is how it looks. So there's still some mesh in between, but it's not as noticed, because this will be gathered some more once I am done. It'll actually be gathered at the top, and I don't mind having a little bit of flyaways. So I have a few more to go. So I hope you learned something. If you like what I said, like what I talked about, make sure you come back, and subscribe to my page. You will see me come on random times. But thank you so very much, and y'all have a wonderful day. See you all the next time.